Why don't cats like Cyber Monday? Well, they just prefer shopping through the catalogs. What's going on, YouTube? It is Tuesday after 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and as a warning, there may be 2 videos uploaded today because I believe we're going to have a real juicer magooser of an update from the developers later. But today, firstly, we got to talk about the 3 vendors that flipped, starting with Filer, who, as always, is inside of Apocrypha. The reason we start with him is, as always, he's got leads, he's got all sorts of juicer magoosers potentially, and that could save us quite a bit of time. So the first one, the Blackened Moonstone Rivets, is going to come from Northern Elsewhere, a public dungeon. So unfortunately, not the trial lead. This is the one that a lot of people hope to see for this lead in store, or maybe this other one over here, depending on which one they may or may not have already gotten to drop from that trial. So it is unfortunate that we have kind of one of the more pee-pee-poo-poo ones, but as always, we have more things that we could potentially get in here. As next is the tonal pivot joints, and as we flip to this, I just want to tell you that I hope you guys are also enjoying your snow days. Fortunately, we're still working remote today, but this is on break, obviously, as always. Still always on the grind, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it. But this one comes from the Forgotten Waste public dungeons and gives you access to the esoteric environmental greaves. None of these mythics are really essential. The previous one is definitely good for tanks. This one is good for, well, it's good for people who really want to complete the sticker book. Next, instead of buying a mythic lead, we have our rotational style page that is bound. So here, the value is how much gold you're potentially saving in getting it from here versus either going out and spending time to farm it when it's available or by buying it from another player with gold. This is how it looks. You can see I put it on my face here for you guys. It's definitely unique. This one has been out for a long time. So when it comes to its actual value, not a whole lot, but there's also not a crazy amount of listings. There's only 6 total listings on PC, and they're about 200 to 300,000 gold, which I think is probably a reasonable price just based on how easy this is to farm when it's available. And then secondly, just that it doesn't look very good. So I would generally recommend that you just buy this from another player with gold, or if you really do want this, you could farm it with Archival Fortunes. Nextly, we have our rotational consumable diagrams. We have our Markarth door. This one is open and closable. That always usually makes them easier to resell. So the actual plan itself is not crazy valuable as a warning, but if you did want to sell these have a decent sale value. It does require you to have mundane runes and sprockets, which are not always the easiest things to get, unfortunately, if you did want to kind of become a furniture seller. Next, we have more Argonian stuff. Unfortunately, Argonian stuff, it ain't good. Like, realistically, it ain't good. And then we have a Redoran stool fungal cushion, which is also an easy, yeah, no thank you. Nextly, you can get some random Rothgar treasure maps. Now, Rothgar treasure maps are unique because they are a DLC zone. Usually DLC zones have a little bit more juice for the squeeze, and there's no real world event there that you can farm to get jewelry. You generally have to farm open world chest or a treasure chest to get the jewelry. But unfortunately, this is not 2018, where a lot of people, where there was a gold rush to go to Rothgar and get all the set jewelry from there. It's just not a good farm anymore when it comes to farming their treasure maps. And if you wanted to see the price for how they look these days, not very good. Next, we move to Companion Heavy Armor. This is one of the better ones to roll for because Heavy Armor is one of the more sought after pieces, and you're guaranteed to get the Heavy Armor piece because you're rolling for companion equipment, Heavy Armor, and there's pretty decent traits that you can get: reduced damage taken, reduced cooldowns, and increased health. Had a little bit of a stutter here because our cat has decided that it's time to jump up on us and record the video with us. So, any thoughts on this one? Nope, no thoughts. Then we have our 2 books. We have 2 closed books, which I generally, I used to skip these. People killed me in the comments, so they're here. Then we move to our scripts: Brutality, Sorcery, Uncertainty, Pull, War Mage's Defense. None of these are worth it for your Archival Fortunes, which is a premium currency. Again, if you're going to go out and farm the Archival Fortunes to the level that you can easily buy these, just start doing daily quests. Daily quests are going to start to reward you more than it would be for you to just have a bunch of Archival Fortunes on hand. highly encourage it. And I think it's going to be a better use for your time when it just comes to gold, experience, and anything rare that you would be getting, like scripts, just better use of your time. Then we move to our fragments before we move to our next vendor here, which hopefully will have a little bit of better selection. Disgusting Spoils, as always, is part of the Malagrific Skeever pet. It's here all the time. We don't need to really talk about it. And then we have the fragment of the Vampire Lord. Put a pin in that one. And then we have the Writhing Ha Mata scale. This is easy skip. It's worth 302 gold. But interestingly, the fragment of the Vampire Lord really does come from a pretty annoying place. You actually would have to farm Kind's Aegis if you wanted to get it. Now, a couple things. Just because you don't have to farm a trial doesn't mean it's worth 10,000 archival fortunes, because you're still going to have to do Stone Garden. You're still going to have to go do Moongrave Fane. And at the end of the day, you're just changing your mist form. So I don't know how much a lot of people put into that, because violet purple mist form is a pretty cool color. The issue is how much value do you put into that? And if you do put a lot of value into it, do you want to go just run Kind's Aegis to trial? It's a guaranteed drop if you can complete it. But obviously it is not a really fun trial to run, even on normal difficulty. And it's not one that's run super often. So I can't easily give you a guide on this, because it's something you certainly could purchase. It's not offensive to purchase because the other dungeons are significantly easier and more often to farm, but it is also something that's from a skill style that's not popular, realistically. Next up, we have the Chronicler inside of the Scholarium, inside of Ivea. Now, this guy is a free-to-play vendor, for those of you who don't know. You just have to get scribing unlocked. We have Courage, Taunt, Class Mastery, Fencer's Parry, all available with gold. Now, Fencer's Parry is one that you're only purchasing this if you want to have one character that's got every script unlocked, which you should have. You should have one character with all of them unlocked. Class Mastery, this one is static. You don't need to buy this. You're going to have it once you get the achievement unlocked. Taunt and Courage are the two interesting ones. Courage, I think, is actually a pretty good one to consider for Banner Bearer, for PvP. Solo players also can make pretty good use of it, just giving yourself a nice little weapon and spell damage increase. You're probably not going to need it for most group content when it comes to PvE content. And obviously, if you're doing PvP with a group of people, you can always build around who's going to be giving people minor courage. Taunt is always an interesting one too, because there's also just really easy ways to taunt people as is, and you can't make an AoE taunt with scribing, unfortunately. I just think it's one that you should have, though, on those characters, just in case the meta ever shifts and we may have a big class rework, which would also potentially make this script really good. And it's just one that I think you should have. It's a low investment, and if you ever get it as a duplicate in the future, you just sell it for 1,000 gold back. You're not really losing a whole lot. And finally, we're inside the Imperial City sewers, to go over the Telvar merchant, who's right here for us. Now, as always, if you need help finding these vendors, ESOhelper.com, our fan-made website that you can use. And we start with Gillerons. Now, quite a few things are going to happen here. So I'm going to tell you that this set is not as bad as people say it is. You're going to see the average is not too terrible, but do not assume that this is a good set. Don't go run out and buy it. Let's talk first. 100k Telvar. You're never buying any set with that ever. This first thing up here is completely useless, and this jewelry completely changes again. So crit chance, mag recovery, weapon and spell, but then when you deal damage with a light or heavy attack, you put a mark of revenge on an enemy for 15 seconds. After you put 5 marks of revenge on the enemy, they detonate for 7173 magic damage. You can only apply a stack once every half seconds, and it scales off your weapon or spell damage. This set could be run very effectively with other sets that really benefit from surprising opponents. I have built quite a few different sets and PvP builds that are just built around surprising your opponent, and them not expecting that they're going to get hit with a whole lot of combos and then them die, which is the ultimate goal for PvP. A lot of people seem to think that this set is absolutely garbage, but 7173 magic damage as a detonation. You could combine that with Haunting Curse. You could combine that with Mage's Fury. You could combine that with Poison. You could combine that with other proc sets where you're getting significant damage. Crystal Frag. This is a set that Nightblades and Sorcerers could really benefit from using. There are also new heavy attack actual monster sets that really want you to heavy attack a lot. Light attacking. You can Crystal Frag weave with the alternate version of Crystal Frags using Crystal Weapon. This is not as bad as people think it is. I would give it an 8. You could use this set to great efficiency if you built around it. The problem is it's narrow in scope. It's only going to be used for, realistically, PvP. And you can only build around, you have to build a surprise package, the wombo combo. You're not expecting me to hit you with the crystal weapon, the heavy attacks, and then all of a sudden explode because I secretly put a haunting curse on you, a mage's fury, execute, and you just got hit for 71-73 magic damage from the Mark of Revenge, or the heavy attack from your heavy attack set, which I'm drawing a blank on the name of here, so we're just going to pull it up live just so that we could do this all here. Oh, the Construct Visage, where you do the heavy attack, you throw, you do a bunch of physical damage, and you reduce their armor. There's just so many ways that you could combo this set. I don't know why people hate it. This set is literally conceded as a TLDR dump set. But I think it is relevant to mention that this was also before subclassing that a lot of people were talking about and grading this set. I think this is one of those sets that you have to put back in your memory as a set that you could run in 2025 with subclassing. Soldiers of Anguish, as you can see, has a crazy average above it. Even if it was 236,000, it's still not worth 100k TLDR because that's bind on pickup sauce. Please change the metrics for these. But what this one does, weapon and spell, crit chance, weapon and spell, your melee light attack, so it has to be melee light attacks, place a ring on the ground that explodes after 1.3 seconds, applying a heal absorption to all enemies hit for 4 seconds, and you negate the next 30 points of healing done. This effect could occur once every 6 seconds. And a lot of things have made this set not good. The most notable thing is the set was nerfed, so the actual average here is a bit of a misnomer, which is why you can't just go off averages. You need to always think meta, patch notes, how good a set is, and has that set changed? Other things to note too is that the meta is also shifted with subclassing. You don't really see heal negation, heal absorption. It's just not very good anymore, unfortunately. The set is still pretty cool. I'll give it a 7. It's unique, but it is very limited in scope. You're dealing melee light attacks. You're specifically causing an explosion in the ground, so it's easy to dodge because it's got 1.3 seconds of time to react. I just don't think you're going to get a lot of value from a set like this. Next up is another interesting one because it is back to Mythic Leads, potentially saving you hours and hours of grinding. Will this save you hours of grinding? Well, it is from a music box and it drops from ore nodes. Now, I could not tell you the value of an ore node and how often you're going to get it from there because ore nodes are one of the lead dropping mechanics that is probably one of the most random. You could pick up one, you could pick up 1,000 and either get it or not get it in any of those circumstances. So I really dislike farming raw materials. However, farming ore is just good for your characters because it's going to give them resources that you get for upgrade mats. It's going to give you things that you can use on the characters. If you wanted gold, you could sell them. You could combine the ores together to get upgrade materials. It's just something that it's really no downside of doing. It's not like you're sitting and you're killing a world boss who's dropping you pee-pee poo-poo garbage. This is actually at least giving you a resource that is profitable for on your characters. So even if you're like, Jake, I need this music box, it's probably still worth farming, even though ore nodes is very, very random when it comes to dropping. Next up is the wide barbed shank. Now, this one is also exceptionally annoying, and it's Death Dealer's Feet, which is not currently meta relevant as much right now. I'll tell you what it does in a moment. And it drops from the anomalies and Craglords in the reward chest for the Nerncrux mine. So as a solo player, this is actually a pretty annoying farm because a lot of times you don't see people farm this. And to me, I love Death Dealer's Feet. It is probably one of the most easy to pilot mythics. It's one of the easiest builds to build around, just max stats. The problem is max stats not in the meta right now. The meta has shifted to crit damage, or the off meta has shifted to things like the Markin Ring, Malakaz Band of Brutality. We're like 4 or 5 tiers down in the meta. That's the max stat builds. We're getting beaten out by the Markin Ring builds. We're getting beaten out by the Malakaz Band of Brutality builds, which is really sad because max stat sorcerers that built with this used to be the bee's knees. People used to fear the sorcerer and its hardened ward. Now the hardened ward should just be called the soft ward. So unfortunately, this mythic is not as nearly as prevalent as it was. However, hardened ward has been nerfed and buffed into oblivion multiple times. It will go from absolute garbage to pinnacle of PvP content back down to garbage again pretty frequently, or just sorcerers in general also do that every so often. Unfortunately, it's usually not like the next patch. It's usually like sorcerers are fantastic and they try to nerf them and fail. then they destroy them into the ground, then they're garbage, and then they buff them, and then they're back to S tier plus again. So will they return? Yes. Should you get this mythic? Yes. Do you need to buy this mythic? Probably not, but I just love talking about meta and stuff. Next up, we have the Galen treasure maps. Galen treasure maps are only worth about 4,000 gold. Terrible investment if you were to purchase these with your TLDR. Now worth it. Easy skip. Then we move to the scripts. These are the actual rings that the set's already talked about. We have scripts, brittle, expedition, multi-target, assassin's misery. But the problem is that yes, some of these are really cool to have. I think brittle is one that is really nice to have, especially on PvP characters. Expedition can also be really cool to build around for either PvP, PvE, solo type content, depending on what you're trying to do. But this is a premium currency. 10,000 plus TLDR is a premium currency for these. Thankfully, multi-target and assassin's misery are kind of hot doo-doo. But when it comes to brittle and expedition, those are ones that I would generally consider telling you, hey, go out and purchase this with your gold if it's in the chronicler. But for here, it really does depend. Thankfully, these are normally used for PvP. Expedition, brittle, they're going to be seen used in PvP more frequently than PvE, so a lot of PvP players have more TLDR. So yes, if you were really working on building a brittle build that did not have brittle built in due to subclassing or to the sets you're wearing, you could use the script for it. Same with expedition. There's obviously tons of ways to build expedition in with all the skills that you have, but especially if you're a free-to-play player that doesn't have access to things like channeled acceleration, or you don't want to subclass into certain lines because it can limit you, I think scripts are really the best way to get around having certain buffs and kind of making something that works for you. So that would be my recommendation, is these are worth considering in those niche scenarios, but I generally think they're not worth it. And finally, we have the Fragment of the Thorn, which comes from Castle Thorn. Could have given you 10 guesses to get that. And all it really is going to do is change your silvery bolts. I would be hard pressed to find somebody running silvery bolts in 2025, let alone somebody who feels the need to change the silvery bolts to be vibrant yellow. So it's probably one of the more easy skips that you can do. But as always, thank you guys for watching to the end. Tuesday vendors this week were a bit all over the place. We had some really good mythics. We had Death Dealer's Feet, which has some of the most annoying leads in the game. We had other mythics that had some of the most annoying trial leads, but we did not roll for any of those, unfortunately. We had some unique sets to talk about, which are more fun than I would think. That's why I love making these videos. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. As always, we're doing our 3 giveaway drawings. All you need to do to enter is leave a comments below / like on the video. Second thing is just make sure you're subscribed. And the third thing is look for hidden word be flashed upon the screen. I know I have yet to make the video. I apologize. I had to work. I changed my work schedule around yesterday, so I didn't get a chance to finish it. It is still in production. And unfortunately, I believe later we're going to get some big ESO news. So probably going to have to cover that also. So it is kind of getting pushed back a little bit further. So in response, I'm going to do 2 words for this month. So please just bear with me, potentially even 3. So thank you guys for that. Please don't kill me in the comments, and I'll catch you later. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jakeclips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.